And this was so powerful for me because it made me think of all the people who run their heads up against brick walls in their relationships. It made me think of all the people who will go to therapy for months or years, who will go on save our relationship vacations. It made me think of, all the different books they probably read together and highlighted together and prayed together and go to church, all this together to try to save a relationship that truly shouldn't be that hard. Because relationships aren't hard, you guys. Think about the people in your life who, number one, aren't narcissists, and number two, who you love and like a lot. Is it really hard to be friends with them, or is it hard to be in relationship with that person? Probably not. And here's a big sign that you actually like each other. You miss each other when you're apart. If you're with a narcissist, I can almost promise you don't miss them when they're away, and you find it odd. You're like, I'm supposed to miss you, but I don't. Why don't I? Because they're narcissists. It's hard to miss narcissistic behavior. Very hard to miss. It's hard to miss abuse. But anyway, it made me think of all the couples who try so hard to save their relationships and work so hard to put their relationship back together. What one element of that couple doesn't know, one or the other doesn't know, is that that person actually never, ever intended on cooperating with you ever from the very beginning. It was an act from the very beginning. The cooperation was fake. The cooperation was make-believe. It was pretend. So what you're running up against is the reality that they never actually intended to cooperate with you in the first place. Never. And that's mind-blowing because it's like you'll probably say to yourself, it's almost like they don't want this to work. It's not that they don't want it to work. It's that they want it to work without their cooperation. You understand? So that's the confusing part, because you're like, well, why won't they just leave the relationship? Well, honey, they don't want to leave the relationship. They're siphoning from you. They just want to be able to stay in the relationship without actually participating in it. But because you're human, you struggle with that. You're having a lot of difficulties with that. So you're trying to fix that broken link. You're never going to, though, because the only way to fix it is for them to actually really want to cooperate in real life. The cooperation is make believe, it's pretend. So when they humor you by going to therapy or counseling or whatever, that's all they're doing is humoring you to kind of extend the relationship out a little bit more. That's all. But they never actually intended on cooperating, ever. And I just think this is so major. And I think if people really knew this, they wouldn't waste so much time trying to fix their relationships. Because keep in mind, guys, in my personal opinion, relationships aren't that hard. They only become hard when you have one of the spouses or partners refusing to participate and cooperate with life itself. That's when relationships get hard. But other than that, relationships are not that hard, y'all. They're really not.